You're on.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Elizabeth Teeters, and I am the Economic Development Director for the City of Las Cruces. I wanted to thank all of you for coming this evening and for joining us if you're joining virtually. I also just wanted to take a moment to thank Dr. Francisco Payeras, our Deputy Director for Economic Development. He oversees workforce development for the city, and he couldn't be here today because he's in Chihuahua touring aerospace industry for us. So I just want to make sure he has a great partnership with the Department of Workforce Solutions. We have great things coming, so I want to thank everybody for their work that made tonight happen. And with that, I will hand it over to our city manager, Mr. Ifo Pili.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Let me see if I can raise this up a little bit. Thank you, Elizabeth, and thank you again. Thank you for all of you for being here. Appreciate the Department of Workforce Solutions and making your way here. We'd love to see you here, and love when we get our state coming down south and visiting us and providing opportunity and resources for the people of Las Cruces. I'll be quick. I was asked to just welcome, and on behalf of the City of Las Cruces, welcome as well. And I'd like to thank Elizabeth. I want to recognize Councilor Yvonne Flores. She's also she's a city councilor, one of my bosses, but she's also the chair of the Economic Development PRC, and so she's representing our council. And then, of course, our Superintendent Ramos, thank you for being here as well. And then, again, all of you, thank you for being in attendance here. Just if I may indulge for a moment, I've been here for the City of Las Cruces for about a year, and not quite a year and a half. And when I was hired out of Utah. And my first meeting with the counselors, I met with them individually, and I asked them if there was one thing they wanted me to accomplish, what would it be? And I was hoping for maybe landing a Fortune 100 company. We did that where I came from, maybe some big business. Economic development seemed to be my forte. That's sort of the craft that I've gained from where I came from, and it was moving the poverty dial. And I was not expecting that. I did recognize that we had a 24% poverty, and I actually, believe it or not, was attracted to the challenge. But out of everything they asked of their new city manager, it was moving the poverty dial. And the only way I knew how to do that was through economic development. What I didn't know is that coming here, we couldn't do economic development the same way we did where I came from. And quickly realized that economic development had to have a three-prong approach. And business recruitment, retention, and expansion was one of the three-prong approach. Second was affordable housing and workforce development. And not even in that order, maybe in descending order, I realized how much workforce development was going to be key in our success as a city and ultimately moving the poverty dial. And so in our economic development department, led by our wonderful economic development director, Elizabeth Teeter, we actually have a three-prong approach to economic development. And it is affordable housing, business recruitment and retention and expansion, and workforce development. And so I wanted to share that, and I'll turn the time over here in a minute. I wanted to share that because I want all of you to realize and understand that the City of Las Cruces, this is not only a part of the plan, but it is essential to the plan. We must focus on workforce development in order for us to move this poverty dial. I love our approach to economic development because it's not about just bringing wealth and prosperity, but it's also changing people's lives, elevating people, and doing it through this. And so, Secretary, thank you so much for taking the time to come to our city. to bring this information and the presentation here to our people. And with that, I'll turn the time over to Secretary Serna. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the introduction, and most important, thank you for having us, for hosting us and giving us great space. I feel like when I look up there, I'm testifying in Congress. So I'm going to pretend I am and tell my kids that I did, and make them all proud. You know, your message is important. We've been working over the last 7 or 8 months at the request of the governor to raise the minimum wage rate for state workers, public school workers, higher education workers, along with our union partners for state government. And we're working to do that. You know, at Department of Workforce Solutions, we just noticed the minimum wage rate change for the rest of the state. And Las Cruces is doing some wonderful things to kind of, you know, nudge us further along in a more aggressive way. But the other role I carry is I also serve as the director for the state personnel office for the state of New Mexico. And there, right, as a major employer with over 16,000 workers, we know that the rate of pay for them is key, right? The impact that'll have on the state's economy will be humongous. And today, I was working with my colleagues at the Department of Finance Administration and the governor's office and crafting language that we will propose to move the needle for state employee pay rates. And I sent them an email after we got it the way we wanted it to look. And I said, I remember when I was 13 years old, listening to my parents talk excitedly about finally earning $14 an hour. Parents with 3 kids. And here we are 28 years later, trying to keep those conversations, right, from taking so long to happen in New Mexico families, among New Mexico families. And so what I do want to share with you is we come here carrying the governor's sense of urgency to bolster the economy for the state of New Mexico. And we know that things are moving in the right direction when we start comparing from pre-pandemic to where we are now. We released the unemployment rate on Tuesday is now 5.8%. We have a point to go before we start to really be, you know, before we start to realize the rates we were at pre-pandemic, but that's not enough for her. She said, it's not enough that we get back to where we were. It'll be enough when we're doing better than the national average. And there's a lot of work to do there, and it's going to require the partnership between the counties and the municipalities and the states, because as you mentioned, you know, all these things go hand in glove. When we look at counties in the state, like neighboring counties to Doña Ana, double-digit unemployment rates, it's not just people that aren't working. It's certainly not people unwilling to work. It's the lack of job availability, right? The lack of opportunity for them to pursue. So we're excited to be here, and we certainly hope you enjoy the presentation. We'll try not to talk too much at you, and please, if at any point you have a question, just chime in and we'll get to it so you don't have to hold off until the end. So what I'm going to do is go through a couple of slides to just give you a sense of where we are as a workforce, as an agency. The Department of Workforce Solutions, as you all are aware, administers the state's unemployment insurance program on behalf of the United States Department of Labor. And when I first came there, that wasn't a great big deal. And my mission when I first joined the Department of Workforce Solutions, I was the deputy secretary at the time, was to change the public perception that we are the unemployment office. That's what everybody associates us with, right, the unemployment office. And we started a tour around the state to look at offices to even assess what it was about how they look that made us the unemployment office. And that's big. And we were working in that direction for a year, and then we became the unemployment office for the last 2 years, right? And reemployment and employment services became a secondary measure as we tried to handle the surge of claimants that, you know, that we needed to assist. So let me go to, is it this one? Yeah, is it, yeah, okay. I tell everyone that this is becoming my favorite slide in the whole wide world because it tells a story. it tells a story about where we were just a year ago, which wasn't a good place. And the remarkable thing about what occurred, this chart here, for those of you that can't see, I think maybe you can better here, is it shows back in March, April and May of 2020, a surge of nearly 150,000 New Mexicans reaching out for unemployment insurance. And at this time, given the programs that were available, this was just W-2 wage workers. At this point, we hadn't even begun to help, self-employed gig economy workers. And the efforts of the agency, I think, were noble, and the staff did a remarkable job, and I always like to give them a shout out whenever possible. And here we are today. That cliff that you all see here, I don't know if this has a pointer, is essentially the end of federal extension benefits, right, around September of 2021. And as you all heard, like we did, there was a belief that when those benefits went away, workers were going to go back to work, because there was a belief that it was federal extension benefits that disincentivized workers to work. Well, that came and went, 4 months ago, and you all know as employers in the room that that's not necessarily what happened, right? There are still a lot of workers that are not working because they're still looking or because they're not looking. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But it's important to note that as of January 10th, we only have 1,700 more claimants receiving benefits than we did pre-pandemic, all right? And that number comes down a little bit more every week. This slide here shows the change in employment pre-pandemic to now. You're looking at January 2020 employment levels above 860,000, and that's down by about 42,500, means that that's how many fewer people are working. And now that's not necessarily only an indication, right, that they're not working as much as it's an indication that perhaps jobs have been lost. And you all probably can point to a business that is closed and hasn't recovered or may not. And so statewide, we're looking at that gap of 42,500 and trying to align it with this increase in job availability when you compare where we are with January 2020 data. And so you see this surge of job availability based on advertised job data that, we're looking to fill gaps. Now, you can imagine that a lot of these gaps are in entry-level jobs. There's no question about that. But you can also understand that some of them are in specialized fields, right? And it's not necessarily easy to go from retail trade to the healthcare industry, for example, and earn, a livable wage unless you receive skills to do that work. So part of our challenge, of course, is to understand who's got barriers to employment, help them overcome those barriers, and then we got to close the skill gap to fill, the void. We also look very closely at where we see that the job loss occurred so that we can really drive a lot of what we do programmatically, but also ask questions, right, by industry sectors that help us better understand why there's job loss and how we can help address that. You'll see a couple of industries in particular, mining at top, healthcare assistance, leisure, hospitality, and at the very, very bottom, local government. You see the difference between the orange line and the blue line demonstrates job loss in those industry fields. Now, that's not the case across the board. As you'll note, in manufacturing, there's been gains, retail trade gains, professional and business service gains, and break-even points for other services in federal government. So we know there's shifts, we know there's mobility, right? We know that workers have identified with opportunities outside of where they were previously and moving into new industries. And that presents an opportunity for us to create new pipelines as employers. And so what we do is come out and engage with you all not to tell you what's happening, but to tell you what we see so that you can tell us how that translates to what's happening every single day. One of the questions we've been trying to ask is what is it that workers or New Mexicans who were previously working, what is it that they're relying on to sustain themselves, right? And one of the questions that was often asked of us was, is it because of other state resources, other transitional benefits that the state of New Mexico is offering to them? Going back to that point, right? If you stop providing them with benefits or resources, then they'll go back to work. So we took some sample groups. If you look at the top half of this table, it shows this first sample group of 32,000 claimants, and we cross-checked them, right, with Other services at sister agencies across the state, from SNAP to TANF. ERAP was the new Emergency Rental Assistance Program administered out of DFA, Finance Administration, Child Care, et cetera. And we broke those groups up, and we see that of 10,000 claimants, the largest overlap service received was Medicaid, right? And if you understand what Medicaid is, you know that it doesn't necessarily pay the rent and buy groceries and things like that. And that seems to be the service and benefit that most of our claimants at the time we pulled this study are really accessing in terms of overlap, that and SNAP. So, which you all understand, right, is Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. So we couldn't turn there to say that this is where New Mexicans were sustaining themselves with other state resources and benefits. Now, it's always good to say that's not the reason, but it also doesn't tell us what the reason is. This table right here speaks to the question about whether or not workers are moving from one industry sector to the other, right? And it's important for you all to know that we gather this information quarterly, and that does present some challenges for us because, you know, a lot of things can happen in 3 months, including losing jobs and getting new jobs and jumping across industry sectors, especially those with low skill. But on this table, you'll see that the industries with the longest blue lines are those that retain their workers. So you look at utilities assistance, right? And very low mobility, obviously, and there's even been some assumptions there, right, about that occurring because more people were at home and utility assistance, right, was more needed over the course of the last couple of quarters. But you'll see where there's a larger orange and gray area that we see a lot of mobility when we compare 2 quarters, right, going back to 1920, when we compare the quarters to 21, and that's in administrative support, arts and entertainment, accommodation, food services, and other services, and even in retail trade. And so what you'll see here is where the workers who were previously in these sectors, based on their wage data now, they're moving around at higher rates. And that has a lot to do with earning potential. There's no question about that, right? We always knew, right, that you were going to go perhaps from hospitality, leisure to retail trade and something else, right, eventually, but that's happening at higher rates now. And so that's important because there again, it tells us we need to create pipelines. And you're thinking, well, a lot of these positions may be entry level. How much does it take, right? Well, it takes skill building for sure, but it also takes an understanding of what those industries have to offer. This slide here, very quickly, you'll see from 19 to 20, that blue bar from 58.5 to 57.1%. That's the change in the total number of workers above 16 that are now either working, not working, and looking for work, all right? The unemployment rate is a tricky little thing. A lot of folks, I think, the misconception among a lot of people is, well, the unemployment rate is a math problem, right? How many people are on unemployment divided by the total number of people that are employed? And I wish that were true because we'd be pretty darn close to where we were, right, a couple years ago, but that's not the case. What really happens, right, is you got to understand who should be working, all right? You got to understand of those people that should be working, who is working, of those people that should be working, who's not working, but looking. And those are all good factors, right? But the factors that push against us are the people that are not working and not looking, and the people that are unemployed. So the participation rate decrease that you see here is showing us that the group of New Mexicans who are not working and not looking is getting bigger, okay? It's grown. And that means that not only are they not working and not looking, but there's a barrier. There's a barrier that we have to identify, right? And I share this story about dry ice because my family and I got this gift where they would mail barbecue to us once a month for 3 whole months. It's called Pig of the Month. You should try it. And the first time it came, we were excited. We were waiting by the door. We hadn't had any plans for dinner, and it got there, and to our disappointment, it was packed with dry ice, so it was really too hard, frozen hard to eat. So we ordered pizza instead. But the dry ice we played with for hours. And we were looking up. I have a 7-year-old, you know, what was so special about it besides that it'll burn your sister when you put her hand on it. And that is that it moves from a physical state to a gas state with no liquid in between, which means that it's also very good for, like, you know, spirits, your mixed drinks. And so What we've got to do for the workforce in New Mexico is do that. If you consider the solid state not working and not looking, and the gas state, right, working, what we're bypassing is looking. So we need to get them from going from, I have a barrier and I'm not looking, to working. And that takes a lot, because when we get over the barrier and we get them looking but not working, then our unemployment rate goes to the roof. It's interesting, because now you have these folks that aren't being considered in the workforce. They're in the workforce, but they're not looking. They're building skills, right? Or they're trying to find childcare. They're trying to do these other things, which means that they go from not being in the equation to being part of the group of unemployed. And that does funky things for our unemployment rate, which is interesting. So we got to get them from solid to gas. We got to get them from the stands to playing the game without being on the field, all right? And that's the challenge for us, because we only know where workers are once they start working, okay? So now we have to do something we haven't done before, which is figure out where they are when they're not working, figure out why they're not looking, help them get over that barrier, and then match their skills with somebody who's looking for workers. And one of the barriers that we often encounter among those who aren't working is childcare. And that's why we bring our colleagues from ECECD, because it's a real deal. And you'll see on this table right here that especially for females in New Mexico with children less than 6 years of age, that they participate in the workforce at lower rates than our counterparts across the nation. And so we've got to do a better job, right, as employers, of not just saying we'll give you a job and you can come in when you find childcare. We got to get to the point where we say, we'll give you this job and here's the childcare that you need, not necessarily down the hall in your walls, but as a partnership, as awareness, right, as availability. This is what's in Doña Ana County. And so along with that, there's a lot of other things that we know. We had this great conversation. We drove down from Albuquerque to Alamogordo yesterday, and we talked a lot about what businesses have been doing and what they haven't been doing to really adapt and pivot, right? And it really is more than just, we're going to pay you more. It really is just more, right, than, okay, we'll let you pick your schedule. It's a lot of things, right, like creative scheduling, like more shifts and more workers and remote work opportunities and streamlining your hiring process. And because we know that there are less workers who did that job before, we need to hire on a recognition of capacity, not demonstrated skill. And that's big, right? How do we, even at state government, it blows my mind, right? Because we'll have a job description that says a bachelor's degree in this, a related field, and this person has a degree here. And we're like, I don't know if they're related. And we're thinking, why do we do that to ourselves, right? Do we see the capacity in those people to do that work? And if we do, how do we teach them? And then our responsibility as an employer is, well, the way I used to onboard employees before has to change, because I'm now not operating on the assumption that they come in ready to rumble. And so we have to also identify and promote pathways. And that may be hard. You own a restaurant. What is a pathway for someone who comes in bussing tables? What is a pathway for a server? What is a pathway for becoming the front of the house manager, right? Because if workers don't identify with an opportunity to do more, you know that they're going to identify with an opportunity to make $1.50 up the street. And they're going to pay them $1.50 up the street because you just taught them everything they needed to learn to go work over there. I mean, I have a 16-year-old godson, got his first job after Thanksgiving, and by Christmas Eve, he tells me, Padrino, I'm gonna go to Taco Bell. You're paying $1.50 more. I told him, I don't like Taco Bell as much. I like it, but not as much as where he is now. And already at 16, he had gained that from his work experience, right? Is you follow the money. And that's because he didn't have anything else to follow there. He didn't care flipping burgers, right? But he also knew there was nothing coming next, right? So we've done some things. I encourage you to visit the readynm.gov website. We've really locked arms with other agencies. The expectation of the governor for us as cabinet is, if you're doing something alone, you're probably not doing it well enough. And so we've been working with the higher education department. We thought if there's one number that New Mexicans can call to get unemployment insurance benefits, there should be one number they can call to get help finding a job. There should be one number an employer could call to help finding workers. And so not only did we do that, but we dedicated some resources to have post-secondary institutions across the state build training programs for you all as employers. And we're not talking certificate degrees and associate degrees. We told them, we will give you the money. If you find an employer that needs workers, that need to be trained in something, we will give you the money to create that program. If you make it less than 16 weeks, you offer it for free. That's all you have to do. And you have to tell that employer that we're doing it for you, so that those workers come in and they're not saying, oh, you want me to go get a bachelor's or an associate's or certificate? No, we want you to get a skill that's providing you with an opportunity for work. And that's the spirit of Ready New Mexico. So I'm going to turn it over here, and we're going to go through the services that you can find at our Workforce Connections offices through our employment services staff. And I'm going to turn that over to, or what? Am I doing something wrong? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, man. Okay, I just had a question about the last slide.
That one?
No.
I'm kidding.
So for here, for instance, we are part of the recruitment team for the Las Cruces Fire Department. And to be part of our fire department, you have to have a minimum of an EMT basic license. So is that something that we can get together with you guys on? And I'd like to put something like that on this website for them to go get this skill, right? Because it's not an associate's degree, it's like a certificate. So is that something we could do along with New Mexico?
Is there a training provider here that already offers it?
Well, it's only through Doniana Branch.
Great. So it's probably there. So when you go onto the website, it's there. But what's more important than it being there is, how do we get them into it for free, right? I mean, it's like telling people, do you want to do this? You got to go do that, and here's how we're going to pay you to go and do that, right? And so that's what we do with our Title I partners at our connections offices, right? Is you essentially identify, or we work with you, identify that pipeline. Maybe there's a bunch of high school seniors sitting right at Las Cruces High right now, and you're telling them, raise your hand if you want to do this, okay? Now come with me. Or even better, they raise their hand, and our staff and our Title I staff are standing next to you in that classroom, and they're getting them referred for services, basically tuition, to go and do that program. And it doesn't just come with the tuition to do that program, it comes with the case management, including, you mean you don't have a car? What do we need to do to get you over there? You mean you don't have daycare? You don't have the uniform, or you can't afford the test at the end of the program? Those are the services that we provide. So, and then beyond that, if you're in a situation where that training program doesn't exist, what Ready New Mexico would do is go to Doña Ana or, NMSU Alamo, whatever, and say, will you develop it? We'll give you all the money to develop it. You just got to make it free.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, we're good? All right, I'm going to turn it over. And again, we're going to try, I know I talked the most. We blamed Michelle for talking too much last night. And I just did it. Now she's going to have that on me all evening. So we'll try and speed through the rest of the stuff and try and leave time for conversation, okay? All right, you're welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being with us tonight. It speaks volumes that you're here, engaged in your community as employers or corporations or our council members, our superintendents. Thank you. And you could be home. You could be on that couch, comfy, in your comfy clothes, having a few snacks, but you're here. Your virtual audience, however, has one leg up on you because they're already doing that. So, again, thank you. I did want to start, my name is Michelle Velarde, and I'm the Field Operations Director for the Department of Workforce Solutions. And I oversee our 23 Workforce Connection offices across the state, and I work with our area managers, our Department of Workforce Solutions area managers across the state, making sure we're delivering the services that you need, that our job seekers need, that our students who are going into the workforce need. And I wanted to just take a quick moment, please. I want to introduce our area manager for our Las Cruces area, and that is Mr. Peter Martinez, who is with us this evening. So thank you, Peter. And I also I also wanted to introduce our supervisor, our office supervisor for Las Cruces office, which is Giselle Palomares. And thank you. They are a fantastic team, and they are here to help you. The Department of Workforce Solutions and our Employment Services does work hand in hand with our New Mexico Workforce Connection offices. So what I want to do is just reiterate some of the things that we can do, that we want to do to help you, especially during this time of economic recovery, and as so many are concerned with, also economic development, right? So just a wave out there to the counselor whose really main concern we walked through the door was economic development. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and get started with the presentation. And the agenda that I'm going to cover is what kind of services we do offer in our offices, the incentives for employers, for businesses, skill assessments at a glance, and how they really do help with recruitment and finding that talent. Not only that, but as we are seeing more high school students come into the workplace, these assessments are really great for them too, because when we're hiring for talent, sometimes the person walking in is not absolutely perfect. It's hard to find that unicorn. But if somebody comes in and they are workable, they're moldable, you can give them a skills assessment and find out, okay, what do I need to work with you more on? That way we're not turning away talent that actually does want to work, that actually does want to be in the workplace. So I'm going to talk, actually Adam will be talking a little bit about that. And also want to talk about business training, our business services training. This is something specifically for you as employers, as companies, that you can have a customized training for you, whatever your need that you may be going through, a struggle that you may be going through in your business. But maybe it's not a struggle, and it's more of maybe something more of upskilling and something that you want to help as far as maybe you want to promote within and how to do that within your organization. So I'm going to move on to the next slide. And I'm going to start with our business services. So many of you have probably used our Workforce Connection offices, or at least I hope you have. Giselle and Peter are here, so please, they have their business cards, and you can make a great contact with them this evening, please. But of course, we can post a job for you. We post your openings. But we can also develop job descriptions, and what we're finding is the job descriptions sometimes are where talent is being lost, because maybe it's a tweaking of a job description that needs to happen so that you can get that right kind of recruitment, and we can definitely help with that. Also, organizing hiring events. We're going to talk about next action steps after this is over, and we're going to be talking about an event that is going to be happening here for Las Cruces in February. And when we talk about organizing hiring events, that's specifically what we're talking about, a hiring event. So many times you hear job fair, career fair, and those are wonderful. Those are great. Those are great for career exploration. But are they getting to the heart of really hiring talent and letting people know you come here to an event, you have the possibility of being hired on the spot? Our agency just helped in a statewide rapid hire for the past 3 weeks in Santa Fe at the State Personnel Office, and it was a rapid hire. We had individuals coming in for an interview, 15-minute interview, and they were screened, found out, what they were best suited for, interviewed for 15 minutes, and then within 48 hours, they were offered a possible contingent offer. We already have folks who've already started, so in less than a week, we already have people who are already working with our state. That is like unprecedented for state government. So I always say if we can do it, employers can do it. But it's really about on-the-spot hiring, not just a career fair, not just a job fair. And the other thing is what we can help you with is doing those pre-employment screenings, making sure that people who are wanting to apply with your company, with your establishment, that they are truly the right fit. And we're not referring people over who maybe aren't the right fit. We can do those pre-employment screenings for you. And of course, those assessments. Skill assessments are very valuable in finding out where talent is possibly lacking. But not only that, but it's, again, a great way to make sure you're recruiting for the right position for your needs. The other wonderful thing we can do is labor market services. So yay, labor market, economic numbers, we delve into all that good stuff. So my economic development peeps, they really like all those numbers. But we do look at labor market trends. We do look at things that could possibly affect you and possibly your bottom line. We can definitely help you with that, but we also help our job seekers with that as well. We also have different incentives, such as the work opportunity tax credit, and we'll be going into that a little bit more, as well as federal bonding. So these are, again, our incentives to help you so that when you're recruiting individuals, that there is a benefit for you, and it just makes it worth your time to train and invest in your talent. These tax credits definitely do help, and they do make a difference. Because of COVID and because of the state of how we are having to do business, we had to change things. So what we started doing was having virtual hiring events, virtual recruitments with employers. They have been very successful. They were extremely successful at the onset of COVID. And we noticed a really, really good participation rate. As now as we're moving forward these past 2 years, we've noticed that there is still that need, regardless if things are opening up. There is still that need. So we're definitely still accommodating for anything that you need virtually. So anyway, we can help. We can definitely also help virtually, just as this event is in person, it is also virtual. So we are definitely doing the same for any kind of service that we can help and that we provide. So the next topic will be apprenticeships, and I am going to have Mr. Adam Dodge come up and talk to us about apprenticeships. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much. My name is Adam Dodge. So I am with Economic Development for the state, as well as Workforce Solutions. So my background, I've actually been with the state for a little bit over a year right now. And my entire background is hospitality and fast food. So I kind of talk from the heart, going back. And what I want to say is all of these programs that we're telling you about right now, I wish we would have known about them. Again, this is the kind of like the road show. We're out here trying to get you guys to know about all of these partnerships, about the funding that's out there, just like Ready New Mexico. And a lot of that, has to go back to the state as well too, and it has to benefit the employers. And I don't care what type of business you're in, if it's fast food, if it's hospitality, if it's, hospitals itself, government. We're here to help you, and a lot of these programs are underutilized. And again, this is exactly why we want to be out here and help you guys out and let you know everything about it. But again, with apprenticeships, it's an earn while you learn occupational training. So they will be with laborers that are already within your business. And it goes up to 5 years. And depending on the occupation, apprenticeship, they work and learn, and a lot of them are limitless to what we can do. One of the on-demand, job occupations that are that we've added are registered nurses, the CDL drivers, and medical assistants. The same with electricians. So all of those are paid apprenticeships that we can help you go through. The employer benefits to this, and again, being a business owner and growing up in business, it's the turnover rate, right? So you're already invested in these people. You've already invested in these employees, and it minimizes the turnover rate and minimizes the cost. And 94% of apprentices, they continue employment after completion of the program. So again, reducing that turnover with us or with your business. Going along with what Michelle was telling you about were the skill assessments. And again, there are a lot of assessments and a lot of training programs out there that even with our corporate training program that we have available, we can teach, a lot. If you have an up and coming manager, we can teach them email 101. We can teach them, Microsoft Office, Excel. Our last one in Roswell, our last, forum in Roswell, we actually ended up having 4 or 5 employees that we enrolled into an Excel program just to help them get those basic learning skills. But with the skilled assessments, they validate competencies in a lot of things. There's the typewriting or the keyboard. There is workplace observation and workplace documents. But a lot of those go underutilized, and that's a cost to a business that would be covered by the state. And that's something that needs to be utilized a lot more. But the skill assessments available, like I just said, it's accounts receivable. One of the biggest things right now is hospitality manager solution training. A lot of these hotels are hurting for managers, line level associates. But how do you also, if you have a front office agent, or if you have a housekeeper or a room attendant that's doing amazing, what are those programs that we can put in there and get that pipeline into supervisory roles? How do we get them to be a director of housekeeping? How do we get them to be director of front office? How do we move them to be assistant director of operations? There's a lot of success stories, but let us help you along the way. And if you don't see some of these skill assessments available, just call us. Call the office, call Peter. We can look into it. We have a lot of stuff that's on the shelf already that we can help you out with, okay? But then again, that is pretty much all I have right now. I'll be available after this along with Michelle, so we can get you set up with anything or any questions that you may have. And then we have Raquel that's going to go through a lot of programs that HSD and ISD have to offer, okay, and equip you with any questions that your potential employees have, okay?
While Raquel comes up, I just want to share in terms of what's important about this HSD. How many of you heard of a worker that says,
Sir? Sir? So, right, can you speak into the microphone? That way it goes across telephone. It's a push to hold. Just keep
Hello?
it pushed. Yeah.
So, now I already forgot. How many of you heard of a worker that says, I can only work X amount of hours, otherwise I'm going to lose my benefits, right? Like, I can't work above 35 hours or whatever hours. So what we want to do is make sure when we send you the presentation that you actually see how you understand those benefits as well, right? How you inform your workers, right, about what the possibilities are if that comes up in the conversation. We've even met with employers who have said, I have workers who are telling me not to give them a raise, not to give me a raise, right? And so part of what Raquel is going to go over, right, is what are those programs and benefits, right, and how does getting back to work and keeping those benefits create this bridge, right, for workers instead of a disincentive. Sorry.
Thank you, Ricky. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Raquel Gomez. I am the TANF Program Manager with the Department of Workforce Solutions. And yes, Ricky is correct. I want to educate you today or give you some information on the programs offered by the Human Services Department Income Support Division and see exactly what they're looking at when determining eligibility, what job seekers or fellow New Mexicans are looking at when they're looking at going back to work, right? I can't lose my Medicaid. I have pre-existing conditions, and if I lose it, I'm going to get sick. There are 4 major programs offered by ISD, and that's food assistance, or SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, CASH, or TANF, Medicaid, also known as MAGI, and energy assistance. And we know that 2 out of every 3 New Mexicans are receiving some sort of benefit from ISD, mostly Medicaid. SNAP is the most common assistance program. It helps families and individuals buy food each month. Transitional food stamp assistance is a special type of program which assists households facing the termination of their cash benefits. So individuals that receive cash benefits are our most destitute, low-income population. So when we have somebody that's receiving TANF benefits and they're transitioning into unsubsidized employment or regular work, right? They're going to lose their SNAP assistance, they're going to lose their cash, they're going to be afraid because how are they going to manage or live without all of this assistance? Transitional food stamps would help them for a period of 5 months by receiving the maximum amount of SNAP benefits to help them during that transition period. A lot of participants or job seekers aren't aware of that. So as an employer, it's good information for you to know, especially if they indicate on their application that they're receiving TANF. Not only would you be eligible for WOTC, which Michelle mentioned earlier, but they may not know that they're eligible for transitional food stamp assistance as well. Food assistance income limits are very high. These are federal income guidelines. And what they look at is the 165% federal poverty guidelines income eligibility. So for example, a household of 5 could still be eligible to receive some sort of benefit amount if they're making less than $4,268 a month gross. So they could be working full-time and still be eligible for some sort of SNAP assistance. And again, we'll get this PowerPoint out so everybody could have this information. It's also found online. Other eligibility criteria is also taken into account, such as housing expenses, utility expenses, childcare expenses is also an allowable deduction to possibly increase the amount of SNAP benefits that somebody would be eligible for. Cash assistance, temporary assistance for needy families, is a cash benefit amount to eligible households. Other types of cash assistance programs through ISD also include the TANF diversion payment. This is one lump sum of income for individuals who have been offered employment, a bona fide job offer, and they have some sort of challenge or barrier to get to work. Their car is broken down and they need a new transmission, it won't run, and they need that to get to work. They can apply for that benefit, and if their household is less than 4, they'll receive $1,500, and if it's larger than 4, it'll be $2,000. That's a big lump sum of money that can get them through this challenge, through this barrier, to help them keep and maintain that employment. Also a great benefit for employers to know if you're interviewing somebody and they say, I'm having car troubles, I'm behind my month's rent, I don't know where I'm going to live. This is a good option for job seekers. TANF support services, individuals who have exceeded their 60-month time limit of TANF, you can only receive 5 years of cash in a lifetime, may be eligible to receive continued support services, which means we would help them with transportation like gas cards, employment services such as Walmart gift cards to help them buy clothing for work, interview clothing, that type of assistance, as well as childcare assistance. And then education works. Individuals receiving TANF could go to school, and that would be their activity, and receive cash assistance. So they're not obligated to comply with other work program activities. And here we have our cash program income limits here, significantly lower than that of SNAP. In this example, a household of 3 can be making $1,556 monthly gross and be considered for the TANF program. They follow the 85% FPG, and that's gross income limit standards. And then, of course, we have Medicaid. There are probably dozens of different types of Medicaid programs, all the way from newborn to full parent caretaker. That's full Medicaid for the whole family. Pregnant women, refugees, other adult. All of these MAGI categories are new Medicaid categories that came through the Affordable Medical Care Act, Obamacare. And there's also transitional Medicaid benefits, similar to the transitional food stamp benefits. So an individual that is reluctant to go to work full-time because they're afraid they're going to lose their Medicaid benefits may be eligible for transitional Medicaid assistance, which is full Medicaid benefits for 12 months due to the loss of Medicaid for earned income or new employment. So there are options for participants or job seekers who are reluctant to go back to work because they don't want to lose their benefits. So this is really great information to share with those job seekers and let them know that, they're not at a loss, they're not losing out. And then here are the income limits for Medicaid, which range all the way from, $1,080 for a household of 5, and children may continue to be eligible if you're making $7,760 for children under the age of 5. And LIHEAP is the low-income home energy assistance programs. It helps with the heating and cooling of your home, gas, electricity, wood, pellets. And it also has income guidelines, a little different than SNAP and TANF. This benefit is issued once per year. In this example, a household of 4 sharing the same utility services may be considered for LIHEAP if they're making $3,313 a month. So ISD offers a wide array of benefits to job seekers, to New Mexicans. But there's still options out there. And then I have the HSD contact information on this slide if anybody has any questions or wants to visit the website. Does anybody have any questions? All right. And next we have Alan with ECECD.
Thank you, Raquel. Good afternoon or good evening, everyone. My name is Alan Anderson. I am the Southern Regulatory Oversight Manager for the Early Childhood Education and Care Department. I'm going to try and see if I can figure out how to help get the slides here going. So I want to kind of go through this a little bit quickly. Want to open up for some questions. We all know quality childcare is essential for our staff members. We actually, during the pandemic, the governor has fully supported childcare. In fact, actually, when the schools were going virtual, we actually were able to help set up temporary sites to be able to help support families as they were going to work, especially for our essential workers, or our first responders, healthcare workers, that type of thing, where their children could be in a safe place. And the governor has continued to support that. Ricky has alluded to it already about the staff initiative for not just schools, but including the child care centers and home providers into that as well. But one thing that really isn't too well known is that the schools have Test to Stay, and the federal program for that did not include children below the age of kindergarten. Our governor has stepped up and has started identifying funding, and we're in a pilot stage to be able to have Test to Stay for our child care centers too, to further support your staff. So instead of having staff have to stay home to quarantine because their children are exposed in some way, we can actually have them, like with the schools, in that Test to Stay program. So we're really trying to work through all the financial challenges, and the governor has really put a lot of effort into it to supporting our workforce from, who have children from birth all the way up, through into adulthood. Many of you may have addressed some health and safety concerns. We actually have put a lot of federal funding that we received into making the child care very safe for the children. We've had very low rates of positivity in the child care centers all throughout the pandemic. A few options, I'll touch on these very quickly, but as employers, a few options you may have to support your staff are actually providing childcare yourself on site. Many people may not understand this or may not know, but if the parents are on site, just like when we go to the gym, they may have an area for their children to watch TV. You can do that as a hotel. I wouldn't encourage it in a restaurant, but in a hotel or even in a private business, you can still do that. It's just like a gym. If the parents are on site, then you don't have to become licensed. And we would encourage you then to have a dedicated person to watch the children, have a dedicated environment, some of those things like that. And our licensing staff are more than happy to discuss that with anyone who wants to call. But, there's a couple of other options here, and I'm going to move through them pretty quickly. Benefits for, you can also license your own facility. Let's say you're a private business, you do some manufacturing over here, and you have an office building across town. You want to still provide some childcare services for your staff, use it as some extended benefits. You can actually license that other building if you have space in there, and then that opens you up for other benefits, including subsidy assistance, so that you're not the only one footing the bill for the childcare like you would if the parents were on site. Yeah, so becoming licensed can actually give you another revenue stream, or it can help offset that cost of those extended benefits. There are a lot of requirements to it, and you would be looking for more staff, but it also diversifies you a bit so that you can actually open up into some other job pool. And as Ricky and Adam and Michelle have all talked about, is looking for that pipeline for your staff. You may have someone with some good skills, and how do we train them? How do we move them? Maybe they could they're a good manager, but they have a heart for kids, and they could actually help manage some of that childcare for you. Now, licensing your facility, like I said, there's a lot of requirements for it. You guys will receive a copy of this PowerPoint. You can read into it, or you can reach out to any of our local offices. Actually, where am I going? Sorry, we're trying to keep this really short to open up for as many possibilities. Yeah, some of these resources here, nmececd.org. Yeah, you can find childcare services, New Mexico Pre-K, Head Start, Early Head Start. You know, a lot of these all roll under ECECD, Home Visiting, Family, Infant, Toddler Program, Families First, the Family Nutrition Bureau, including the Summer Food Program. Yeah, we actually have a great summer food program where we feed millions and millions of kids every single day, and it all runs through the ECECD program, where the federal program we're contracted with the federal government, USDA, to be able to provide that service. NewMexicoKids.org. This website is actually like our consumer website. You can actually go on and do a child care search to find local child cares. As part of your onboarding service, whether it's you're trying to become licensed or not, one of the onboarding services for your staff, you could actually, if they're finding they have difficulties with child care, this website, you can actually go on and look for child care. Because being a parent, even myself, I couldn't tell you where all the child care centers or homes are, but even just going onto this website a few minutes before this meeting, I was able to see how many were within a 1 mile radius of this location where I'm standing right now. There's over 35 within 1 mile radius. How many do you think we have in the in the Las Cruces mailing city limits or city postmark? So if they have a Las Cruces address, there is 193 child care centers and homes. For those of you who have shift work and you may have, need someone to watch your children up to 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, midnight, or even overnight, we have 12 providers in the city of Las Cruces who offer late hour care. Many of them actually specialize in children with special needs like autism or special needs allergies, and have familiarity and training with EpiPens and things like that. So it's a big benefit. We have all of these trainings, kind of going back to licensing with it. We have a lot of programs. We even have a wage incentive program where if you did become, open up your own licensed center within your business, we have a wage incentive program where any child care worker who is making less than $15 an hour will make up that difference, and we pay that every month. And that's in coordination with the employer, obviously. We collect hours and timesheets, but we can help get that wage up to where it needs to be, so that, because we know early childhood is very important, and the better pay we can get them, then the better we can actually have the care for the children, get them where they need, and get them prepared to be in school. With that. So we have a lot of different benefits, even free training. We have offers for providers who actually can get continued education. As a business, talking about the pipelines with it, is you can have them get continuing education, get college courses. Professionalism is one of our areas. So they can take management courses and get it paid for by ECECD. So our child care assistance program, as Raquel had talked about, we do work very closely with SNAP and TANF. They're pretty much automatic qualifiers. There's some program work that they all do. Our eligibility interviewers are very qualified, and they look at it, and there's programs that work in the background, help us out with it, where that program doesn't affect the assistance. We are currently up to 350% to the poverty level. So what's that mean? For a family of 4 earning up to $93,000, we will provide child care support for them. So none of your staff members should have any problem with it. We know as a state, we service less than 50% of the families in need that could benefit from our services. In some areas, it's as low as only 21 or 23% of families that could meet our qualifications or could be serviced because they don't know about us or they don't want to participate. Again, kind of going to like Raquel said is, and we've all talked about, is I don't want to work so many hours because they're going to take my benefits away. Only thing that changes is a little bit of adjustment. Talking about extended benefits, community partnerships. We're seeing a lot of community partnerships. I've talked about the 12 providers that offer extended hours. In some areas, we're seeing businesses partner with those community providers, and they're securing daycare slots or childcare slots for their staff members and guaranteeing that they're paying the copay assist or the copay that the family would have due out of their subsidy that we're providing. So the employer is paying the subsidy directly out of their check so the employee doesn't miss it and they don't fall behind with the provider. They stay in good standing with the provider. They don't lose their child care every few months because they're forgetting to make that payment. It's creating that community partnership, and that's what we want to help foster. We can do that through our offices. We can get people in contact. You can find all of this information on the NewMexicoKids.org website. There are eligibility requirements. Feel free to reach out to any of our offices. They can help walk you through what some of those requirements are. As an employer during the onboarding, walk them through the Am I Eligible, or show them this website. You can start to have them fill out the application. It can be all done online, and within a few days, they know if they're eligible. They would need some assistance, like I said, part of the onboarding, talking to you guys, or having you help supply that employment verification. And here's a slide for our offices. This is our where you can reach out to any of our compliance supervisors if you're interested in any information about how to become licensed or providing the care for the parents on site. Feel free to reach out to any of us. Great people, they can get the team out there. We even do some courtesy visits if you wanted us just to come out and take a look, see what you have and what we could work with and help guide you to. But thank you. I'll turn it back over to Ricky. Any questions? I'll be around if you guys need anything. Feel free to grab me afterwards.
I think, something that kind of just resonates, right, is this idea that your HR manager knows this person's coming in making this much money. They have 2 or 3 children, right? We don't offer healthcare insurance for 6 months, or we don't offer it at all, or whatever. You know where to find that as a resource, right? If you have a worker coming in and you say, do you get childcare assistance? We can help you do that. Do you need help right this second with healthcare? Because you know that when their children are sick, they're at home. When they're sick and they don't have healthcare, then they're at home longer than they would be when they can get the help that they need. So I think what we want to do is break down the barriers of misconceptions between, these are services for people that don't work, or in the general public for people that are broke, and the resources to you all. And so we kind of lock them all together. And I was just sharing with Michelle, because we like to follow all of these with hiring events in the communities, is we should have the determination coordinators or determination counselors here for all these services so that they can get them while they're getting their job. But the other thing that I wanted to share, and then going back when we were talking to the city manager about poverty, right? How do we change a way of living? How do you work with us to say, today we're going to do eligibility determinations in partnership with HSD, with ECECD, or whoever else, right? Just come and we'll help you get that service, that benefit. The labor market information that Michelle talked about, That's where you start understanding, right, in-demand jobs, in-demand occupations, what are the skills, who are the training providers in the area, who are the training providers that aren't in the area, right? Because when you're looking at, and then the partnerships that we talked about, I want to harp on that one more time, because in the spirit of economic development, it's difficult, right? Because an employer is coming in and they're saying, well, is there a workforce there ready for us? And we're saying, well, we don't know to be ready for you because we don't know if you're coming just yet. But we got to demonstrate the capacity to build those partnerships, to say, here's an example of how we filled 50 vacancies in partnership, right, with public and private organizations. Here's an example, right, of how we can coordinate workforce development among public and private partners. And I also, and I'll shut up after I say, we know there's this one worker, I tell the Gavin story, it's very short. There was this gentleman, his name was Gavin, and he used to work with us as a partnership. He worked for a partner organization that worked a lot with us at Workforce Solutions, and one time I don't remember the conversation, but he made a statement that the private sector doesn't like working with state government because they take too long. And I thought to myself, man, that bugs me. Like, it bugs me to hear it, and it bugs me that he said it. Because I didn't believe it, right? But it's true. I mean, even me, sometimes I'm frustrated at how long things take. Michelle alluded to it when I think of how long it takes for someone who wants to come work for state government to work for state government, sometimes it does. It makes me think, well, why is it so hard? Well, Gavin, about 6 or 7 months ago, we brought him onto our team. And now he works for us. He's actually the deputy director for unemployment insurance. And I got to the place where I had to apologize to Gavin. And I said, you know what? I think you're right sometimes. And so what I've been telling our employment services staff over the last year and a half is, I said, employers are at a point where they're willing to try anything, including come to us. And if we don't leverage this as an opportunity to show them that we can be faster than they think, then you all will find your own solutions somewhere else. And not only will Gavin have been right, but we would have missed that opportunity to serve you. So we also want to kind of put down that barrier that, things take too long, take forever, and certainly that we're here to serve a sector of New Mexicans. We're here to serve anyone who we can serve. Are there any questions, comments, thoughts, or feedback from anyone? And I don't think that those online can communicate with us, right? Okay, all right. Anything? Well, we will stick around, certainly. Michelle, did you have something else? You have the information about the hiring? Go ahead, push your button. There you go.
Thank you.
They're right about us. We can't even handle a microphone.
Right? Right?
Thank you.
This is just informational for next action steps. So in the spirit of relevancy, because we want to be relevant, Department of Workforce Solutions and New Mexico Workforce Connection, we want to be relevant. We need to be relevant. We are going to be following up with a hiring event February 10th from 3 to 7 at the Civic Center. So we encourage you, your other fellow business partners, anybody that you know in the business community, to participate in this event. We're really hopeful that it is going to be very successful. If you are interested in signing up, Peter is right here and he can get your information. We can guarantee that you have a table for the event. Again, marketing efforts have already started. Thank you, Lisa, for starting that marketing endeavor. But again, it's going to be February 10th from 3 to 7. We have noticed that we have a really great turnout when we have events a little after 5 o'clock. We're getting a lot of those folks who are maybe underemployed, or if there's childcare issues, they can make it to these events if we have them after 5. So again, if you would like to get with Peter, we can get you definitely more information, but the date is February 10th. It will be from 3 to 7, and it will be here at the Civic Center, just down the ways. Thank you.
Great. Well, we all know you have families to go home to and other things. We will stick around if you have anything for us. Otherwise, it's been a pleasure working with you, and especially reach out to our local Workforce Connections office. Our goal is to find out what you need, not to give you a menu of things we'll do. It's more to solve your problem. So it's been a pleasure. Thank you all very much. Thank you.